أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين ونصلي ونسلم على أشرف المرسلين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Within the next few minutes we'll be looking at the mysteries relating to the Day of Judgment. Now we can choose to look at this message from different perspectives, but I'll be looking at it from the perspective of mysteries relating to some phenomena that we'll be encountering right from the beginning of our journey to the Day of Judgment to the very last of our journey on the Day of Judgment. However, I'll try as much as possible to be specific and selective in my approach so that I can confine myself with the amount of time that has been given to me. Now, my first among the selected lists that I have of mysteries related to the Day of Judgment is going to be that of the mystery of death, the Mudul Maut. And this is simply because death remains the first major step into the process of adjudication on the Day of Judgment. And dear brothers and sisters in Islam, even though human beings continue to invest billions of dollars into the process of gene therapy and into the process of regenerative medicine so as to extend the maximum documented lifespan of human being at 125 years, one statement that is certain is لو عشت ألفا ثم ألفين بعدها فلا بد من يوم تصير إلى القبر. That we can choose to expand life, to extend life for 1,000 years. We can double it to 2,000 years. One undisputable fact is that one day we will proceed to the grave. It's a simple fact of كل نفس ذائقة الموت. We have all been configured to go to grave one day. However, the mystery therein is actually the process of death and the act of taking the life out of the human body. Allah says in a portion of the Holy Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, it says, كلا إذا بلغت التراقي وقيل من راق فظن أنه الفراق والتفت الساق بساق إلى ربك يومئذ مساق. That إذا بلغت التراقي, when the soul has reached the peak of living the human body, وقيل من راق, and it will be asked of that dying person, who do you think can restore this soul back to his place? And he will know for sure that no, this is the end, there's no way back. His body becomes petrified and then his feet are put together. He knows that the journey for that day is a one-way traffic. There's no going back. It goes straight to Allah. It's the beginning of his own judgment day. However, more mysterious is the question that we need to keep asking ourselves. In what state or status will my soul be when it is summoned for the Day of Judgment? And this is further, amplified by the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that says, "Inna ahadakum la ya'malu bi amali halil jannah, hatta ma yakunu bainahu wa bainaha illa dhira'in, fayasbiqu alayhi al-kitab, fayamalu bi amali halin nar, fayadkhuluha." That how many times have we read stories of who were at the forefront, at the vanguard of struggle and jihad, but eventually they died under the shade of kufr. It's unfortunate. That is the case. But the idea is that Allah will not have any of it because we've been forewarned, and to be forewarned is to be forearmed. We've been forewarned in so many portions of the Holy Quran. For instance, Allah says in a portion that إِنَّ الَّذِينَ تَوَافَّاهُمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ ظَالِمِي أَنفُسِهِمْ قَالُوا فِيمَ كُنْتُمْ قَالُوا كُنَّا مُسْتَضْعَفِينَ فِي الْأَرْضِ قَالُوا وَلَمْ تَكُنْ أَرْضُ اللَّهِ وَاسِعَةً فَتُهَاجِرُوا فِيهَا. Allah will say to those who die, they died doing the wrong thing, committing the wrong act. Allah will ask them, فِيمَ كُنْتُمْ, why did you find yourself in this mess? Why did you migrate from what was good to that which is horrible? Why did you do that? And they will come forth with different excuses. Oh no, Ya Allah, kunna mustad'afina fil ard. We were incapacitated on the surface of that. We were limited in resources on the surface of that. Allah will not have a single of that. Alam takuna ardullahi wasi'atan. Didn't you see maximum abundant opportunities on the surface of the earth? Why didn't you expand your horizon? Why didn't you think outside the box? Why couldn't you be creative enough to create legitimate resources for yourself? to be an unfortunate incident, an incident of يُبْعَثُ كُلُّ عَبْدٍ عَلَى مَا مَاتَ عَلَيْهِ, that every single individual will be raised from the debris of the action he was performing as at the time his soul was being taken. And that's the reason why this is mysterious, that we should always ask ourselves that question: in what state and status will my soul be when it's going to be summoned in preparation for Judgment Day? That's my number one. My number two is actually what I call Dummatul Qabr. Now, Dummatul Qabr is the compassion of the body due to the compression of the grave, and it's going to happen to everybody just like death. Now, the believers can have some forms of solace, comfort in the statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that says that Dummatul Ard lil mu'min Dummatul Rahma, that the compassion of the body of the believer is going to be a compassionate compassion. But we need to also understand that it is bihasbi a'malihim. It's going to be dependent on the choices of their actions on the surface of the heart. The question is, how do we navigate safely between the choices of our ibadat and the challenges of our mu'amalat, so that we can confine ourselves within the zone of those whose dummatul qabr will be very, very slight. Like they used to say, kadummatul walidati waladaha, just like they embrace, they hug the compassion of the mother and the child. That's my number two. My number three actually is going to be the mysteries relating to the commencement of the Day of Judgment. Allah says in a portion of the Quran, يَسْأَلُ أَيَّانَ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ فَإِذَا بَرِقَ الْبَصَرُ وَقَصَّفَ الْقَمَرُ وَجُمِعَ الشَّمْسُ وَالْقَمَرُ يَقُولُ الْإِنسَانُ يَوْمَئِذٍ أَيْنَ الْمَفَرُ. The Day of Judgment is going to be very, very, very terrible, so to say, to some people. No matter how well informed, no matter how well prepared an individual is towards the arrival of the Day of Judgment, when that day comes, such a person is still going to be stunned and dazed and paralyzed from the happenings, around him. So many things happening simultaneously. The mountains will be displaced, and then they will be made to pulverize just like that within a second. And if you have ever been reading about the mountainous ranges in the world, or you've seen it in documentaries, those magnificent mountains as tall as the heavens and as wide as the whole earth, you ask yourself the question that, is this really possible? Is it really believable? But the truth of the matter is that it's going to happen. The mountain ranges, the Himalaya mountain ranges in Asia, where you have Mountain Everest sitting at around 29,000 feet above sea level. You have the Alps in Europe. You have the Andes in South America. You have the Alaska mountain range in North America. All of these breathtaking structures, all of them that has been existing for billions of years, even before the advent of man, will just go, they'll pulverize within the blink of an eye in response to the sound made by a flute, a trumpet. It's going to be catastrophic. But then, not only that, and then the whole world, the whole planet's heart will go flat. Not a single thing will remain standing on the surface of the heart. It's going to be a mysterious, cataclysmic ending to a very beautiful world. But then, that cataclysmic ending will signal the beginning of a new phase, the phase of the recreation of man. Allah says, I am going to recreate everybody from the debris of your bone, from the last, the most insignificant of your bone. I'm going to recreate every one of you back to normalcy. And this has always been mysterious, not just today. It has been mysterious from time immemorial. Remember the story of the man who went to meet the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and pushed a dead, decaying, totally decomposed bone, pushed it into the face of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and asked him the question, Man yuhili dhama wa hiya ramimun. That question will continue to stun us if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are not taking it upon himself to respond. That, look at this bone. This is gone. Who do you think is going to bring this back? And then Allah took it upon himself and responded, Huwa alladhi ansha'aha awwala marra wa huwa bikulli khalqin alim. Come on. Can't you see? This bone and the bearer of this bone were nothing before. I made them into something. If I could bring them from nothing to something, don't you think that it's going to be easier for me to bring them from something to something? Nothing to something, easy. Something to something should be easier. Don't you think so? It's a matter of كيف تكفرون بالله كنتم أمواتا فحياكم ثم يميتكم ثم يحييكم ثم إليه ترجعون. You, all of you, including the bone and the bearer, and every single thing in the universe, were nothing before I created it into something. But then I'm going to throw you back into nothingness and then recreate you. It's so easy for me, Allah, but it is mysterious to each and every one of us. That's my number 3. I go to my number 4. The fourth of my selected list among the mysteries relating to the Day of Judgment is what I call the Hawdul Kawthar, the pond of Kawthar. Now, the Day of Judgment is going to be a day of very high, very intense physical activity. There's going to be a very high degree of heat generated by sunlight at close proximity. Now, because of this, we're going to have a lot of physical exhaustion. People are going to be terribly exhausted. I will desire for a drink as much as possible. It is a day where we won't find any drink anywhere. In fact, a drop of water on that day will be more precious than all the gold and the diamonds in this world combined. And when we will just be thinking it is all over, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would unroll the pond of Kawthar, the Hawd al-Kawthar. It is a pond like no other, a pond that has been reserved for the believers among mankind. It is a pond that is as sweet as honey, even sweeter than honey. It is whiter than milk. It is more perfumed than the best of perfumes in this world. It is a pond that has equidistance in its length and breadth. And then the distance of the pond in its entirety is more like a month's journey. Now, believers will be summoned to come and take a sip from this drink. And whoever has been opportune to take a sip from this drink, it will actually be the last time that person would desire for a drink for thirst. After that, thirst will be a thing of the past. And if you get to paradise and want to take a drink, you will only be taking a drink because you want to have a good time. It's just like somebody walking into Pinkberry or Chocolate Factory. You are not going there to get yogurt because you want to quench your thirst. No, it's because you just want to have a good time. And that is the Hawd al-Kawthar. And that's my number 4, in the sense that the Hawd al-Kawthar will present a very mysterious scenario for those who have the opportunity to take heart of it. My number 5 is what is called the Sirat. Now, the Sirat, just like the Hawd al-Kawthar, is a bridge like no other. It is a bridge that is as slippery as it is razor sharp. It is a bridge that has so many tongues around it, tongues that are sufficient enough to turn bodies into pieces. It is going to be a bridge that will be crossed by both Muslims and non-Muslims alike. But then the Muslims, the believers among men, will be able to cross with varying degree of speed. Some minhum katorfi, wa minhum karihi, wa minhum kalbarki. Some will cross it like the blink of an eye. Some will cross it like lightning. Some will cross it like the wind. And then depending on the speed with which individual crosses it, that will actually determine the amount of injury that is sustained. As a matter of fact, the last person to cross it will cross it by dragging. They will have to drag him across the bridge, and you can imagine the amount of injury that will be sustained by this type of person. May Allah save us from that. But those who are unable to cross it will actually fall below. They will fall into a pit that is just right below the Sirat, and that pit is the pit of Jahannam. May Allah save us from it. It is a pit of Jahannam where it has been explained that the most minimum of all punishment is the punishment of somebody whose brain will be boiling, will be simmering, boiling from the fire that is actually burning beneath his feet. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala once again save us from this kind of punishment. But for those who are able to make it alive, whether bruised or unblemished, it is going to be the beginning of a new phase entirely, a phase of paradise. It is going to be a joy that knows no end. It is going to be a case of jaza'uhum bima sabaru jannatan wa harira. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His infinite mercy make each and every one of us be beneficial of these beautiful bounties. It is mysterious indeed, but no matter how mysterious it is, we can still continue to work assiduously to achieve this better ending. Man kana yarju liqa'a rabbi falyamal amalan salihan wa la yushrik bi ibadati rabbih ahada. Fasubhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wassalamun ala al mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.